Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuouki Zuisoroku, the fan disc material or the extras added to the PS3 version. Today we are reading Toudou's Memories of Love 6 and 7. Let's check out the premise here. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. Memories of Love, Toudou 6. August 1868. After receiving a letter from Sanan telling them he is in Sendai, the protagonist and Toudou depart to stop him. En route, they encounter Kazuma, who proves to be surprisingly cooperative. The protagonist finds herself smiling. A man who had been an enemy has become an ally. A very sexy ally that I really wish we had had more time with. But I think we'll get some in the next game. But I figure I can live a little longer for you. I don't think that line went with this situation. It makes it look like I just slapped him after he said that. He could feel his fiery blood growing stronger. So he had tried to take me away from the war, and in his eyes I could see the beginnings of surrender. Before I knew what I was doing, I'd struck him. I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to lose him. I wanted Heisuke to live. Through tears, I tried to explain, and at last he looked at me and smiled. His promise to live a little longer was all I'd hoped to hear. That's all I wanted from you. Life had not been kind to Heisuke. After the Koyo Regulatory Company took flight, Nagakura and Harada had made the decision to leave the Shinsengumi. I hate that. I hate splitting up. The Shinsengumi had left Edo and moved north to Nagarayama. After being cornered by the Imperial Army, Kondo had surrendered. After suffering heavy losses, the Shinsengumi entered the Aizu domain. The Shinsengumi were normally under the jurisdiction of Katamori Matsudaira, the Kyoto military commissioner. Since he was the lord of the Aizu domain, that made the Aizu one of the Shinsengumi's few remaining allies. On our way north, however, we had heard disturbing rumors of unexplained killings that weighed on our hearts. Although it was never stated, we knew that the murders were evidence of Sanan's northward movement. Then, the Aizu received a letter from the Sendai domain calling for a last-stand offensive against the Imperial Army, where they would fight to the last man. But most ominous was the signature, Keisuke Sanan, retainer of the Sendai domain. Sanan, how could you? August 1868. Hijikata ordered Heisuke to Sendai. When I told Heisuke I wanted to come with him, he refused, or tried to. But I insisted, and eventually he relented. We would not be going to Sendai to die. We were going to stop Sanan and win a future for ourselves. I said those words to myself over and over as we ran through the night. Memories of Love, Part 6. August 1868. No, why'd you have to cut your hair, Heisuke? Once we were through the forest, we would be in Sendai. Heisuke and I were traveling down a hidden animal path that ran through the forest. Not long ago, we had unexpectedly encountered Kazuma. Even stranger, he was apparently on his way to Sendai for the same reason we were. He said Amagiri was creating a distraction, but... If we're going to believe him, yeah. Man, never thought I'd be getting tips from him. Yeah, usually he's trying to kill you and kidnap me. Well, you can thank Sen for the change. Almost as if in response to our conversation, the crack of gunshots echoed through the night from somewhere far away. That most likely was Amagiri. Gotta admit, it kinda chafes to get help from those guys, but at this point I'll take whatever I can get. That's right, be grateful. Alright, Chizuru, let's move it. Hi. Phew, that was a long trip. A whole 3 seconds. We kept running even after the sounds of battle had died away. By the time we stopped, the moon had moved some distance across the sky. We've been running for quite a while now. Are you tired? No, I'm fine. I can keep going. I'm lying, aren't I? I mean, I'm a demon, right? I'll recover faster than normal people, right? Am I trying to convince myself here? I don't really think that's how it works. I just don't want to push you too hard if you're getting tired out, that's all. But isn't pushing ourselves what we should be doing? We need to get there soon. Maybe, but if we're reckless and get caught or totally tire ourselves out before we get there, we won't be much good. We need to be careful. Good point. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I think maybe I should rest a little. It wasn't until I sat down against a nearby tree that I realized just how tired I actually was. Good thinking, Heisuke. Heisuke must have guessed that I was exhausted. It made sense. Walking through the forest at night was slow going. Sorry, I guess you were right. I am pretty tired.
No need to apologize. I am too.
My heart jumped. I had just told him that, as a demon, I could recover more quickly than ordinary people, which was true. But as a fury, if Heisuke did the same, he would burn away his life little by little. It hurts. I couldn't allow him to push himself any harder than was absolutely necessary.
So, you okay now? Ready to get going again?
Are you? I looked up at him as he spoke. Let's see. I want to hold your hand. I don't know why I'm saying that out of the blue, but okay. Ever since we'd entered the forest, Heisuke had led the way. When the path closed up or disappeared, he cleared the way for me. He had to be tired, maybe even more so than I was. But if I suggested that, I had no doubt he would only laugh it off and insist he was fine. Yep, that's the type of guy he is. What could I do to make him slow his pace? Ah, that's why I suggest holding hands. If it's okay with you, I'd like to hold your hand for a bit.
What?
You heard me. I mean, I want to hold your hand while we walk.
Where the heck did this come from?
Just be grateful. Take it. It's just pretty hard to see out here right now. That makes it hard to see where I'm going. Of course, that was only half the truth. Well, at least there is a shred of truth in it. For a moment, he seemed taken aback, but then he laughed and wrapped his hand firmly around mine.
This good?
Yeah, I feel a lot better now. He had a habit of leaping first and asking questions never. Never heard that one before. Sometimes he needed me to help slow him down a bit. Once we were finished resting, we continued onward, eventually coming to the edge of the forest. Below us lay Sendai. By then, night was over, and the sun had begun its climb. Time to sleep. That's Sendai?
Sun's been up for a while now. Seems a little too quiet.
That's a bad sign. I hadn't noticed until he mentioned it, but the city did seem oddly silent. The streets were almost empty. You're right. It's almost like they're afraid of something.
Likely those furies, or whatever you call them.
Kazuma?
You were late. I assumed you had lost your nerve and fled.
Well, you assumed wrong.
Who the hell would come this far just to turn tail and run? And hey, what are you even doing here?
What manner of idiotic question is that? I'm here to destroy those abominations.
You know how much he hates furies.
Has the corruption damaged your brain, or was your memory always so fleeting?
Kazuma didn't appear to have softened in the days we'd been apart. Not that I had expected him to, of course. Nonetheless, I knew that he and Heisuke would bicker forever given the chance, so I hurried to break them up. I don't think that's what Heisuke meant to say. What he was asking is why you're waiting out here instead of heading in without us.
Yeah, what she said. Since you beat us here, why not just run in there and kill them all?
When I ask if you're an idiot, that's not a rhetorical question. You furies aren't particularly fond of the sun, as I imagine you know. An afternoon attack is much wiser. Please feel free to enjoy a short nap. I should have this situation handled within the hour.
That's awesome.
Sorry, pal, but that's not how this is going to go down.
Yeah, I know that you've got your own reasons for coming here, but so do we.
Is that so?
Yes, it is.
It is. We need to rescue Princess Sen, and besides, the guy behind this is a fellow fury and a member of the Shinsengumi. I need to be the one who stops him.
Heisuke was right. Sanan had chosen a dark path, but he was still one of our comrades. Well, Kazuma's got a good reason to go in there too, because Sen's his baby mama-to-be. He's got to rescue her. That meant that it fell to us to take care of him.
Do what you wish then. Just please do not try to get killed too quickly.
Right back at you, pal. Sanen's nothing to sniff at. Don't let your guard down with him.
You actually believe a demon could lose to one of those things? You're a greater fool than I thought.
That was right. I'd nearly forgotten, but there was something that had been bothering me since Kazuma appeared. Where's Amagiri?
Elsewhere. I can kill these creatures easily enough on my own. I don't require his assistance.
That wasn't what I meant. He distracted the Sendai soldiers so we could get through the border. I'm worried about him.
Well, you needed to be. He has other matters to attend to.
And what were those?
Yeah, he'll probably be fine. I know pretty damn well how tough he is.
Heisuke was silent for a moment, and his shoulders sagged.
Man, I wish Amagiri was here instead of you.
Come on, Amagiri's a good guy. Just because you fought him once and lost.
Why, do you fancy him?
What? No, he's just easier to talk to. And besides, I owe him one. Thought I might finally get to pay him back.
I very much doubt that encounter would go as you hope.
Hey, you want to say that to my face?
I think he did, didn't he? Not again. Once they had crossed swords, now they butted heads. It was exasperating, but I couldn't help smiling.
If Amagiri is to replace one of us, it should be you. In fact, yes, that's much better. You can leave. Go find Amagiri.
Go fetch him.
Hey, I told you this is my fight. I'm not leaving.
This fight was more than just demons versus furies. Heisuke and Kazuma couldn't be within shouting distance of one another without immediately starting to fight. Whatever else happened, I didn't imagine that would ever change. I wasn't quite sure what to call that sort of relationship. Nemesis? No, friends? Frenemies! Before I knew it, I was giggling to myself. They're both like,
Hey, what's so funny?
This is great. This is my favorite Heisuke scene so far.
What are you laughing about?
Oh, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to. It's just, you two don't stop fighting, but you're both doing the same thing, working together.
Hey, no we're not.
We are in no way working together.
I couldn't hold it in anymore. And then for some reason, Heisuke began to laugh as well. But I don't think Kazuma's going to join us.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know. It's just...
Irrelevant. Laugh all you want. Laugh until you die.
Kazuma was a demon. He had come to blows with the Shinsengumi many times and had even killed some of our men. Even just days before, I would have called him an enemy and expected him to try and kill us on sight, but here he was, bickering with Heisuke like they were an old married couple. A man who had once been our enemy was now our comrade, at least in some sense. It felt strange. Anyway, we're in Sendai now. What do we do next?
First order of business is the castle. We need a way in.
I think you must be mistaken. Find your own way in.
Hey, how'd Saito get here? I think that's actually the first error like that I've noticed in here so far.
We didn't want your help anyway, jerk. Come on, Chizuru, let's go.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I quickened my pace to keep up. This was really happening. We were going to find Sanan and then stop him, somehow. Given his actions so far, I had a sinking feeling we wouldn't be able to simply talk him down. In all likelihood, we would be forced to kill him. That meant we were walking into a deadly battle. A battle against a former comrade and one-time friend. I looked up at the castle and swallowed. Well, that was a really fun scene before things got dark again, though. And a really long one! But alright, we'll squeeze in Memories of Love 7. September 1868. After putting an end to Sanan's plot, Todo and the protagonist return to Shirokawa Castle safely, but are greeted by Hijikata, who tells them that the war is not going well for the Shinsengumi. That's not much of a plot for this scene, but I'm sure we'll have something cuddly in here. Oh.
A human, fury, or demon. If it's to protect her, I'll become anything.
Sanan's fury-enhanced strength was overwhelming, but that had made him arrogant and careless. Heisuke saw an opening and took it, driving his blade through Sanan and ending the battle. I still remember Sanan's last words.
When I remembered that I was a human, my left arm refused to move.
Somewhere in Sanan, there had been a spark of humanity his fairy blood had been unable to fully extinguish. Perhaps Heisuke had somehow found and kindled that spark just enough to bring him back from the brink. Or so I hoped, at least. But at least now he's at peace. When we arrived at Sendai, we had made our way directly towards Sendai Castle. There we had found Sanan waiting for us, now transformed into a new, greater kind of fury. Following an intense battle, Heisuke had at last defeated him. As we parted ways with Kazuma, he told us that water from the hometown of my clan had been used to improve the water of life. We returned to Konan, where the Shinsengumi were prepared to recapture Shirakawa Castle. Since I spent most of my night staying up with Heisuke, I wasn't fully aware of the situation. I learned later that Shirakawa Castle was a strategic location coveted by both the Loyalist troops and the Imperial Army. The Shinsengumi knew they faced a difficult battle, and any help they could get they wanted. September 1868. Heisuke and I had gone to tell Hijikata of our decision. This will be our final goodbye. Memories of Love, Part 7. September 1868. When Heisuke and I returned from Sendai, Hijikata welcomed us back. He said nothing about it, but I could feel that he had been worried for us. As we gave our report, his eyes seemed softer than usual.
After entering the castle, we engaged former Shinsengumi Colonel Keisuke Sanan. Following a protracted fight, I killed him.
Those few words were all it took to say that a man who had once been a friend was dead. Heisuke finished his report, and for a few moments Hijikata only sat there silently.
Heisuke, Chizuru, what was he like at the end?
I think he was Sanan again. He said he remembered that he was human.
Must have been hard. Thanks, you did good.
Actually, I'm glad you sent me. I saw some of myself in Sanan. We lived in the same house, but when it came time to move, I walked out the front door, and he walked out the back.
I felt his hand on my shoulder.
But that's only because she led me out. Without this lady, I don't think I'd be here talking to you right now.
Heisuke.
So thanks, Commander, for letting her come with me.
I just gave the go-ahead. She's the one who asked to go. You're a lucky man.
You were once a lucky man, Hijikata. I miss you too.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Seriously, though, she's almost too good for me.
I felt down a fierce blush. This wasn't the time. We were about to tell him our decision.
So, how are things looking out there?
Smile gone. Hijikata's expression darkened. Saito, Shimada, and the others were doing more than he had expected, but even with their efforts, the situation was grim. I was taken aback. Things seemed to have worsened since we'd left. Well, what's going to happen now?
Hard to say.
Left unsaid was the clear implication that we needed whatever help we could scrape together. Even help from Fury, who only had a battle or two of life left in him. Are you asking Toudou to give the last of his life? Unfortunately, our minds were already made up. Hijikata, there was something we wanted to talk to you about. See?
Hold on. I think I should take it from here, Chizuru.
His hand gave my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. Heisuke sat up a little straighter and fixed his eyes on Hijikata's. Man to man.
I know the Shinsengumi's in a bad spot right now. But my mind's made up. I'm leaving the Shinsengumi, and Chizuru's coming with me.
Hijikata didn't appear surprised or angry. Instead, he looked down for a moment, slowly closed his eyes, and then opened them again.
Leaving? Just going to toss your sword aside?
Yeah, I've been fighting a long time. I always thought it was a warrior's destiny to die fighting for his country, but that was something to dream about. Becoming a Fury only made me more certain. I started to feel like there was nothing more important in life than fighting. I told myself that was why I'd been brought back. I was here to go to war with our enemies, and that was it.
Heisuke shut his eyes, and then he looked over at me and smiled.
But the more time I spent with her, the more I started to see things differently. Maybe I wasn't human anymore, but that didn't mean there wasn't meaning to my life beyond fighting.
Sounds like the two of you have a plan.
Oh, he just looks so sad about it. Yes, we're going to head back to the home of my clan, the land of the Yukimura. We've heard the water there can suppress the fury madness.
If there's a chance I can live, I'm gonna take it. I don't want to die fighting anymore. I want to live with her.
Hijikata shut his eyes, and for what felt like hours, silence filled the room. When he opened them, they were looking at me. I can't take it.
Chizuru, this is what you want to do?
At this point, I really miss Hijikata. I want to stay with him. I hate leaving him. Yes, I'm sure of it. I nodded. I never said this before, but when I got here, I thought all you guys were really scary. They talk about killing and fighting like other people talk about the crops or the weather. It seemed like I stumbled onto a different world. As time went by, though, I started to understand. Even if you were kind of scary, you all laughed and cried like anybody else. You were just trying to live your lives. Before I knew it, I'd gotten pretty fond of all of you. But I gotten especially fond of Heisuke. I wanted us to be together for a long time, but if that's going to happen, he has to live a long time. And if he stays with the Shinsengumi, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
Hijikata cut him off.
Kazuma, Amagiri, and the other demons are pulling out of the war, right?
Huh? Yes. I mean, I think so.
The demons are out of the fight, and the Fury Corps is dead. I don't see any other reasons to have the two of you in this war.
His face softened, just a little.
Besides, you're technically dead, Heisuke, and you're not a soldier, Chizuru. Far as I'm concerned, you can go wherever the hell you want.
Well, he's making it easier on us, but still. That was as close to giving us his blessing and wishing us good luck as we were likely to get out of Hijikata. And he actually smiled. Even with the battle that lay ahead of him, he'd found the kindness to let us leave. How could we ever express our gratitude?
Hijikata, thank you for everything.
Thank you. It hardly felt sufficient, but what else could we say? This is it then? Goodbye to the Shinsengumi? We will be leaving behind everything to start a new life. I couldn't help but wonder how Heisuke was feeling. After all, he had been with the Shinsengumi much longer than I had. When I snuck a glance over at him, our eyes met. What's wrong?
Oh, I was just thinking I should ask you one last time.
Ask me what? If I'm sure?
Chizuru, you're not gonna regret this, are you?
Nope, I made up my mind. He was trying to be casual, but behind his eyes I could see fear, uncertainty, and hope. I took a deep breath. Well, that's an obvious choice. Of course not. Of course not. All I want to do is spend the rest of my life with you. What is there to regret? I smiled. My life would be a lot emptier without you in it.
Thanks. I was hoping you'd say that.
Well, you got your wish.
I just wanted to actually hear you say it.
I know. Some things you just can't take on faith.
Yeah, there's something I should tell you too. I've had plenty of chances to, but I've never been able to get it out.
You love me? Is it the L word? He stopped for a moment, took a breath, and released it. Then he looked up at me and whispered the words I've been hoping to hear.
You said you were especially fond of me. Well, I'm especially fond of you too. When I'm with you, all I want to do is look at you. And when I'm not, all I can do is think about you. Thank you for sticking with me through all this. And thanks for saying you'll let me spend the rest of my life with you.
Even if I knew how he felt, to hear him actually say it, I want to hear the L word. My heart pounded madly at the inside of my chest. I felt as if it might explode if he said those words again. But I had to hear them. Do you think you could say that again? What, that whole thing? He just grinned.
Of course, I can say it as many times as you want. We've got the rest of our lives. But right now we should probably be getting ready to leave. If we hurry, we can leave tomorrow.
Oh, right. If we're here, we're just going to get in the way, huh? Saying goodbye to everybody is going to make me sad, but we need to get out of here before the battle really starts. We set to work. The following day, our last with the Shinsengumi, passed in the blink of an eye. Sadly, we couldn't manage to connect with Saito or Shimada, who were occupied with last-minute battle preparations.
Alright, Chizuru, ready to go?
Yeah. We stepped outside into the light of a brilliant moon. Heisuke was still a fury, which meant we were departing at midnight while everyone else was asleep. Then again, in a way, we weren't leaving anything. Neither Heisuke nor I had been an official part of the Shinsengumi for some time. And me never. Why would anyone have been there to see us off? Or at least, that was what I thought. What, were people... Oh, they made it after all.
You're late.
Not to mention cold. Were you going to leave without saying goodbye?
Hijikata, Saito, Shimada, you're here?
Come on, guys. I know you're busy. Why are you doing this?
Indeed, we are busy, but it is bad luck, and moreover bad form, not to bid a friend farewell.
Oh, I love you guys so much.
We haven't had time to see you since you got back from Sendai. I'm glad you made it through all that okay. Just try and stay safe, okay?
What? Shouldn't we be telling you to stay safe?
Yeah, seriously. You're the ones about to go off to battle.
Yes, I guess you're right. We won't be seeing much besides fighting for a while.
But the two of you have seen enough conflict, both external and internal. The time has come for you to leave. I hope you will be happy.
Thank you.
Come on. You don't need to get all sappy. Thanks, though.
Oh, I hate goodbyes. Oh. Hijikata had said nothing as we spoke. He had already told us everything he needed to.
Alright, let's get going.
Okay. We turned away from the Shinsengumi and took our first steps.
Take care of yourselves.
I felt his words slip past us like a gust of wind. Since that first night under a cold moon, I'd seen and done so much. Our path might never meet the Shinsengumis again. It would be foolish to tell them see you later or something similar, but... I couldn't leave it at that. I spun around. I'm going to miss all of you. I'll never forget you. You're the best friends I've ever had. All of my memories of the Shinsengumi had come rushing back. I smiled and waved goodbye one last time, then took Heisuke's hand. When I met the Shinsengumi, the moon had been cold as a blade, but for our farewell it felt as warm as an embrace. On that summer night in 1868... goodbyes are so sad. Why'd they have to do that to us? Me no likey. And that wasn't really a sweet scene between me and Heisuke. Would they run out of stuff to do? Oh my god, this was so long. My poor throat. Alright, well, I'm gonna go rest my throat. And next episode will be our last with Heisuke. Memories of Love 8. And then, like I said, on to all the rest of the guys, all the extras for everybody else, which will be interesting. I can't believe there's so many other things. Well, hope to see you there or in some of my other videos, and I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye bye, everybody.